There's nowhere you can hide, Spartan. Put as much distance between you and the truth as you want. It changes nothing. Pretend to be everything you are not. Teacher, husband, father. But there is one unavoidable truth you will never escape. You cannot change. You will always be a monster.
I know. But I am your monster no longer.
Alrighty, let's do this. I never really played any of the original God of War games released in the 2000s, to be honest, mostly due to my age. But from what I have saw, the games actually did look really good for its time. Of course, not saying that they've aged poorly or anything. But overall, the God of War games released prior to 2018 release seemed more likely to cater towards teenagers and young adults, as the games were mostly grotesque and fun with an emphasis on gameplay features such as combinations.
So, my opinion on the God of War franchise is really interesting because I never played the original games. I never played the old PS2 versions, the PS3 versions. I only managed to start playing the first, the do-over one in 2022 when I managed to somehow get my hands on a PlayStation 5 during the shortage. As soon as I bought the console, I went over to one of the second-hand game shops and I just picked up a bunch of old PlayStation exclusives that I've never been able to play before. And God of War obviously being one of the first ones, because that's the ones that I've heard the most praise over, that and The Last of Us. It took me around, I think, 3 months to finish up the absolute storytelling of the entire game, having to both adhere to old players and obviously returning players. So that was really, really interesting to see. And when God of War Ragnarok was announced, I had to pre-order it because I just enjoyed the first one that much. When it came for Ragnarok to start, I got it the day it came out, and I managed to finish that one in like 2 days. So it was really, really fun to play.
My opinion on the God of War franchise, as a game, it has a really good storyline in terms of it has intertwined 2 different mythologies together. As a franchise, they really developed and evolved each storyline with each different game, especially as the technology evolves with each different year.
God of War is a franchise that has matured with its audience. There isn't as much unnecessary violence, if you will, in the latter games, the most recent games, rather than the more original ones that really catered towards the more violent aspects of the God of War franchise. I think the core similarity between the entire franchise is that they were made for the audience of their time. Who knows, in a decade you might think that the most recent installments of the God of War franchise might be completely outdated. So that's successful in your opinion?
I think the God of War franchise is so successful on how they've incorporated Greek mythology with Norse mythology, especially with the new God of War game that they brought out in 2018 for the PlayStation 4.
From what I've seen from the originals, I think it was both a mixture of seeing to mythologies, albeit a little bit inaccurate, but also the gore and just really tragic storytelling with Kratos having to kill his wife and daughter in a bloodlust caused by Ares. And it also gets somewhat repeated during God of War 2016 or 2018 or whatever year this one came out, with Kratos also killing Baldur. But it was really interesting to. It's just like showing off these different stories and different fables from different mythologies, which I think what really kicked off in the first place.
Of course, you can talk about graphics too. It is a graphically impressive franchise, arguably one of the most graphically impressive franchises from how they have pushed engines to their limits. They even had to design a new engine for God of War 2018, which was a clear-cut, amazing decision by Santa Monica Studios, as the graphics were definitely one of the key focal points of people's discussions surrounding why God of War 2018 worked so well. Now, how does this link to how gaming culture has changed, you may be wondering? Well,
I think God of War is a prime example of how gaming culture has changed because of the graphics. With the older versions of the game, you can see that the graphics is lacking because the technology hasn't really evolved. But with the newer games, you can see that the graphics are more developed and evolved because the technology has evolved between the time that they brought out the older versions of the game to the time that they brought out the new versions of the game.
What I've seen from the older ones, it was a lot less story related and a lot more focused on the blood, the gore.
I think Santa Monica Studios will always be a company that can adapt to their own time. Look at God of War and God of War Ragnarok as examples, and the amount of success they've had, man. That's like crazy to think about. Like the most recent installment, God of War Ragnarok, being the most successful game of the franchise easily, as it sold 11 million copies at the Gaming Awards, which include the following: Game of the Year, Best Game Direction, Best Narrative, Best Score Music, Best Audio Design, Best Performance, Best Action Adventure Game, and Innovation and Accessibility. Out of these contentions, God of War Ragnarok won Best Narrative, Best Score Music, Best Audio Design, Best Performance, Best Action Adventure Game, and Innovation and Accessibility. The main category God of War Ragnarok had to contend with was Game of the Year, which it lost. However, it got the most rewards than the game that won Game of the Year, which was Elden Ring.
You expected the stick to give you an advantage?
What are you doing?
I can take it. Can you?
You're what the All-Father made you. You can choose to...
You all die.
Stop! Come on, brother. You hit him once. Just gotta find the right opening.
Although the previous game won Game of the Year in 2018, Santa Monica Studios' Norse installments of the God of War franchise were very successful and showed that story-driven games can work to fantastic effect, as they have all the momentum they need to create a phenomenal God of War game with lots of potential possibilities in the mythology they can create and how they can develop their story.
You have no idea, and I'm sorry. Thor. He tried.
Can you? That it?
Seems to think you've changed. Prove it and stop then.
Talking's over. Fight and die.
You're what the All-Father made you. You can choose to...
You all die.
Oh! Oh! Just oh, let's go. Oh my god! Oh!
Your family are falling apart.
Oh my god! Okay, Jesus! The beefy strikes! Oh! Oh, blades! No! Oh god! Oh dear! Oh dear!
Like you know
Oh, Mjolnir. Oh, he's literally just using it as his own boomerang. What the hell? Oh, oh my god. Okay.
You bring this to my
Overall, gaming culture is something that went from being a nerdy activity for degenerate to a globally accepted industry with tons of different routes to even make a living from it. And with that, that is how God of War has advanced throughout the digital age as a franchise as a whole, throughout each individual game, and again as a series, as an unstoppable being that does not seem to be slowing down anytime soon, nor in the future.